All right, people. I think we're on. We're here. We're a little late, but we're doing the best we can in
Different
this
time zones,
central time situation.
different challenges.
But happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. We made it
reporting to you live from
from
Texas.
Texas. We're still here,
Northeast
as
Texas
you
to
can
be
tell.
exact.
Yes. So listen, we've been down here. We've been dealing with different things, different people, different personality types, different
Oh, sound
situations.
like Norma's back.
The dog might be here.
Norma
We
said
don't
I
know.
will not be on this episode.
And we've been talking about the 4 words of the year. And today's word is communication. But I can tell you this, I have seen a lot of gaslighting going on down here, which you see all the time, but it's a different, I think different
Level?
regions have different levels
of
of gaslighting and different approaches. So I've been paying a little bit of attention to that. And listen, gaslighting has the same marketing agency as kale and quinoa. Y'all remember how a
No
few
one knew
years
what
ago,
that
no
was.
one even knew what that was, and then all of a sudden it was in everything? Same thing with gaslighting, boundaries, triggers, trauma. Now
More evolved.
we're evolving as a people, which we're happy about. But now everybody is trying to figure out, what does this mean? How does it impact my life? Am I being gaslit? Am I a gaslighter? Am I a
Yes.
trauma thrower? A trigger for people? Everybody wants to know. So,
Or they should want to know.
or they should want to know.
Put it
So,
like that.
if you've been thinking about that, or it has come up in your shondo, as we like to say, stick around. This episode is for you. Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
Have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
All right, beautiful people, welcome to Truthful Chats. You know what time it is.
Clink, clink.
Cups up.
We
These
bought
are
these-
to-go travel cups. We bought them from
Yep.
California,
We bought them from across the country because they
So-
keep things cold. So
and we love it.
Mm.
It's only water. It should be liquor, but it's only water.
can't be liquor, too much going on.
Anyway, this is Truthful Chats. If you're just now joining us, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Truthful Chats is our weekly podcast that we do under the umbrella of the brand that is Create Generational Wellness. If you have no idea what that means, look around wherever this video is. There is a description of the term Create Generational Wellness somewhere around here. Okay. We have a theme every single month. All right. And then Truthful Chat is where we unpack that theme weekly. Okay. So it's January. Pam and the Lord and her Shondo got some words. So that's what we've been on. The word for January is cultivate. And today's episode is cultivate communication. And why is this important? Okay. Because communication is one of the cornerstones really of life. Okay. If you want to have healthy relationships with your higher being, yourself, and others, communication is very vital and very necessary to have. Clear communication, healthy communication is the goal, as we continually try to stress and reiterate, particularly with the situations that we've been going through, because you got to be at the point where you can trust your own mind. And if you can't, that gets crazy. And then if the people are right, you
Jedi mind tricks abound.
can't trust your mental mind and get a little crazy. And then you see it's like a domino effect after that. So having healthy relationships is based on healthy communication, but you have to have mutual trust and understanding for that to happen. So you can see if the trust domino starts to fall on one end, it's probably gonna fall on a lot of other ends, and
Knock them
then
down.
you might be stout, as the people say. So there's a various obstacles to great communication, various barriers, right? We've talked about them on this podcast before in terms of maybe you don't have enough self-knowledge and self-awareness about you in general, your communication style, how you like to communicate, how you like others to communicate with you. Like there may just be like an information gap. Okay. Sometimes you just get very easily triggered. And so I was actually watching this thing about PTSD on the Big Think, which is this channel I literally just discovered on YouTube, but it's pretty cool. But it's by the man that wrote The Body Keeps the Score, which I have not read, but it's blowing up the culture. Okay.
I'm sure my body has
lots of trauma. Literally
a lot of stroke marks.
And the man said that they started studying it based on the people from Vietnam coming back. He was like, they were all my peers. And he was like, I would talk to them after the war. He said, usually psychologists in America, like the field of psychology is like, something's wrong with you. We need to fix you. Like that's the goal. He said, so if you're talking to some therapists that are not involved in trauma, like they don't know about trauma, it gets tricky. So he was saying that trauma, basically, they had studied it in Vietnam vets, people who had come back from the war that were like young and vibrant and really cool human beings before they left. And then they came back and they were sort of like a shell of themselves, or they would be very, very passive most of the time. And then you would say something to them, and then all of a sudden they would just come alive. They would go from 0 to 100 real quick, right? And so they thought like, wow, this is a phenomenon only in soldiers. But then they found out that everyone has some form of trauma. He started talking about the rates of people who were molested, people who had seen verbal and physical abuse, people who grew up under poverty, racism, all of these things that affect your PTSD, right? Relationship with self, with others, and then inadvertently probably the way that you communicate with people. So it was very, very interesting. I haven't read the book, so I can't recommend it. I just know everybody, like so many people I know be like, have you read The Body Keeps the Score? It's just one of those books that like is in the ether right now. So if you don't read the book, at least watch the video. It's on the Big Think. I forgot the author's name, but he's dope. And it's like 10 minutes. Okay. So there's all kind of barriers, as I said, to prevent the exchange of ideas and emotions. Exchanging ideas and emotions and thoughts is really all communication is, okay? Really at the very, very end of the day. But as if PTSD was not enough, and triggers and boundaries, we've also talked about how maybe you have the wrong boundaries, right? You have not set boundaries. You tell everybody all your information, or you be telling the wrong people your information, and you just be communicating with people that maybe you shouldn't be, okay?
Or you let people talk to you any old kind of way.
Either one of those things. It's all a communication conundrum, right? But then there are other buzzwords in the culture right now, which are gaslighting and narcissistic. I was like, I forgot the other word.
Narcissistic.
It's gaslighting and narcissism, okay, which I think has also taken off like quinoa and kale, but not for a marketing reason. It's actually because people actually have those things. And I think that in previous generations, no disrespect, they wasn't thinking about none of this. Okay. They was trying to survive, especially when you have the complexion. People with the complexion for the protection deal with these things also. They just also made a whiteness as a way to protect themselves for the things that the non-complexion for the protection people be dealing with. They're like, well, we have to deal with this too, but I don't want to deal with that with what y'all dealing with, so we're gonna create a whole nother level.
Let me tell you something. I just had a revelation. Whiteness is the ultimate gaslighting narcissist.
Whiteness
that is the ultimate gaslighting and narcissism.
Ultimate.
My God, I'm gonna write a book.
There has never been, nor will there ever be, more gaslighting and narcissistic behaviors than around the concept of whiteness. Which, if you're just unaware of that, you're just hearing this for the first time and you're offended.
Ooh,
congratulations. Congratulations.
Come back, mine.
But more so, you should check out Dr. Jane Elliott. She talks about this often. She is a superhero of mine. And then I can't remember the author's name, but she wrote White Fragility, which I still haven't read, but all of that is in there. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. That's going to take us down a rabbit hole. but it is true. So what is gaslighting?
But I promise you, I'm coming back around to that at some point in time. Maybe for Black History Month, but let's keep
because
going.
it's almost February. Amen.
Okay.
It's our favorite time of year. Y'all, some of y'all love Christmas. We love Christmas too. It's good times. We love it, but we really love Black History Month.
All right, here we
so
go.
gaslighting is a form of manipulation. Okay, because it's all over the place. Listen, for all the relationship red flag triggers, y'all be like, he gaslit me. Some of y'all were actually gaslit, but some of y'all just don't pick people well and they got to jump on you. And that's okay. But gaslighting is a form of manipulation in which the person that is the perpetrator of said gaslighting, right? This is the person that's trying to gaslight you, is sowing seeds of doubt in the victim, in the person. Okay. This is making them question their own perceptions, their memories, and their sanity. Now, I want to caveat this. Some of y'all, that person was a cheater when you met them. You are in a relationship with them because they're cheating. They were cheating on somebody. They were cheating on somebody else with you. So you can't sit up here and be like, this person is gaslighting me. No, you chose to be with a cheater. That's what that is. So just own it, okay? But I don't know that you could just be like, this person was gaslighting me and thinking that they was a cheater. And you know you met them at the club or said other place and you know they had a person. I just want to make it clear, okay? Let's in 2024.
Listen,
time
is short.
I'm not gonna gaslight you into gaslighting yourself to believe that you didn't already know this person maybe wasn't good for you before you picked them. I just felt it, so I need to say it. So anyway,
just like me and the whiteness.
It is the fact that they are really trying to get you to doubt your own mental mind. And if you know me personally, and you're listening to this, you know I always say, don't let nobody put your mental mind. Okay, you gotta be TI clear up here. You gotta be, as Cat Williams says, y'all talking about this trending interview, but Cat's been dropping wisdom for a long time. And the main thing he said, you gotta be in touch with your own star and player. You are your star player. You gotta be in touch up here, because if you're not, the people gonna come in and they're gonna manipulate you with all forms of chicanery, foolishness, get you to think that they didn't say what they said when they actually said it exactly like that. I was just watching Dave Chappelle. Y'all remember the when he had the stenographer in the like pilot episode, and he was arguing and he was like, I didn't just say that, and she was like, pull up 5 minutes ago. And sure enough, he had said that. So anyway, shout out to Pastor Brown. I actually know that was you in the clip, but we won't talk about it. That's your old life, but shout out to Pastor Brown. Anyway, so how do you recognize this type of behavior? Because listen, everybody named my, I was gaslit, and a lot of us were. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of us were. But you ain't gonna be gaslit. But some of y'all be using the terms a little too much, and you don't actually know the definitions. It's no disrespect, but I'm just saying, maybe Google.
We're trying to make it clear.
So
make it make sense.
So you can recognize this type of behavior when people, they deny something that they said or did, right? We was both there for the exchange, but you're like, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? It's kind of like how they try to do Dave Chappelle when they act like there wasn't, they have built walls. They was intentionally doing stuff to gaslight. They was doing stuff to make Dave crazy, and then gaslighting Dave and saying that wasn't happening. But he was like, I know that this wall was not here yesterday. Okay, it's that kind of stuff. Or they'll make the other person's feelings feel little or small or not important. I think we've all had that happen to us at some point. And I don't know if people, I'll say this, I don't know that those people are necessarily intentionally gaslighting as much as they just might not be emotionally adept, right? So like if you're trigger response,
emotionally unintelligent versus emotionally intelligent.
So it's like, if you come to them with all that smoke and static, the automatic thing is to shut it down. I don't know if they're gaslighting you. They just like, I don't want to deal with this. That's sometimes what it is when they be trying to, I don't know about your little feelings. I don't remember all that. I don't feel like dealing with it. They just might be trying to shut it down. People,
and
that's black
all
people
day, every day. Okay.
We are a push and push down and push
open
over.
A file cabinet, put that in
there, and
push it and lock it. We're not gonna do it.
Or they try to shift the blame to the other person, right? To
make it look like you did something wrong,
right? You coming at me about this, but I could come at you about this. Okay. Some of y'all, this be a lot of your relational arguments. So if you're triggered, it's okay. We're just talking these things out. Okay. Do you have any examples? I have a lot, but
you can go. I know you can go.
I have a lot.
That's why I put it in there. Give examples, because I know you can pull them up.
I've always had a very strong memory, and I trust my memory. For the things that I don't remember, I let it go. But there are specific things, childhood incidences, things that happen that I remember very vividly and very strongly. And I have confronted said family members about said things, not necessarily always her. She pretty much owns up, not everything, but she pretty much owns up to stuff. Or she'll say, I don't really remember it like that, but I'm sorry if it hurt your feelings. This is the key in the gaslighting phrase. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you feel that way. What is it? It's not I'm sorry if you feel that way. It's one of those.
I'm gonna read them later. I'm gonna read them off.
It's one of those. Well, the person told me I didn't know it carried that much weight.
Gaslighting.
After we had gone through a whole series of situations.
I didn't know which particular situation you were talking about, but I'm with you now.
I pressed them about it, and they was like, "Oh, I didn't know it held that much weight for you." In another situation,
and never
apologized,
but just like I didn't know it was that much.
Utterly denied everything they had done, everything. And then when they did come back to apologize for the said thing that they did do, then they started pulling up a whole bunch of other gaslightable lies about a bunch of other things. That was confusing. The other phrase was, I'm trying to remember exactly. It was like, I don't remember it that way, but if you feel bad about it, I don't know what to tell you because we can't go back to the past. So there's really nothing that we can do about it. So you should just let it go. There's really nothing you can do. Okay. So those are just a few examples from my life. I'm sure there's more if I dig deep, but I have therapy tomorrow.
And I have many of them, and I'm too tired to talk about them now because we're in Texas because I'm taking care of my sister that is just recently been put in a nursing home. So I'm operating on pure fumes. I'm sure I had one today, but
you definitely have one today.
I'm so fried. I can't even
because here's what we're dealing with. My aunt's mental mind is questionable at best, right? But
when it's good,
it's good.
Fire.
But sometimes it's she trying to gaslight her based on half information, but she truly believes that what's happening in her mental mind is the truth. And that's what things get hairy or scary, right? Because do you ever question the nature of your reality, as they used to say on the Westworld? Okay. I'm not in your mental mind. It feels really real to you. I can't tell you that it's not. Okay. But the point is, as we're always trying to say, we're not combating or comparing memories. We're talking about feelings. Yeah. And you can't.
And that's understandable. Feelings. That's understandable given her age. Given her age, it's understandable that some of her memories are going back and forth. But with gaslighting, that person got the right memory. They just trying to make you feel like you don't have the right
remember
memory.
it. You don't remember it the way
that it really happened.
So saying all that to say, and we'll give you some more examples, but it's like I was actually talking to a friend of mine this week about this. I've been having a lot of like relational tracking how people make you feel type of conversations, because in conversations, in interactions, it's like try to take like mental stock or inventory. I actually have somebody who's like actually physically like making a chart about like how certain people make them feel right now. But trusting those gut feelings of like, if you have conversations with people and something feels off, and I'm not talking like they crazy. We talking about specifically if you feel like things are happening and you remember them a certain way, and then you bring that up to that person's attention, and then they try to like flip it on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, pay attention to that, because if it starts to happen routinely, you might be dealing with someone who's a gaslighter. And we'll get to narcissism in a minute. But gaslighting really relies on the said victim, right? The person who is being gaslit, the person who is trying to like flip it on you, like that ain't how that was. Like, why are you saying that, right? So they're trying to get you to doubt your instincts, your perceptions of things, really to get you to not to trust your gut. Okay, they trying to play you.
Trust your gut, your mind, your heart, everything.
Congratulations, you played yourself. They trying to rip you away from you. They trying to get you away from you. Okay, which is diabolical. So gaslighters tend to contradict themselves, right? Or they try to present a different version of events in their favor, right? That will cause you to be confused and doubt your own mental mind, because they'll try to be like, you always doing this. You always making things a bigger deal. If you're triggered, I'm sorry. You're always making things a bigger deal than it is. And because you have this pattern, that's not how it went. I'm going to tell you how it went. And then they start trying to they'll give you enough. See, here's the thing about a lie. It's always wrapped in some truth.
Just a little bit of truth sprinkled on top.
It's a little bit of truth sprinkled on top. So then you start being like, dang, well, maybe I don't. But this is what I'm telling you. You always got to be in touch with your star Republican player. Okay? Because my mind is good. My mind is strong. I'm not. My mind is good. My mind is strong. Okay? I remember things the way I remember things. But if you've shown a little, and this isn't even memory wise, if you have shown wavering in your personality style, or whether you're not a person who stands on your stuff, the people gonna try you. And sometimes they're gonna try you really just because they can, really because it's something to do and they're bored. And you have to know that some people are bored enough to play with your life. Okay, today, every day, all the time. And so we just want you to be on guard against said gaslighting activities. But now let's talk about narcissism.
All right. So narcissism.
Their sisters or cousins or whatever you want to say.
First cousins. Narcissistic behavior on the other side involves a sense of entitlement. This is why I said the thing that I just said. You feel like you're entitled to things. You don't have a lack of empathy for anybody else because it's all about you. And you have a constant need for admiration in some kind of way. So you will manipulate
the situation
to make sure that you're admired and that what you feel like you're entitled to comes to fruition, manifest, right? So you're going to figure out, what do I need to do to make this work out on my behalf?
Now, let me go ahead and say this. At this point right now, a Rolodex of people just came up in your mind. Just hold the Rolodex, okay? That's good. If when she said that, or when I said, you start going, your mind start doing the Zach Galifianakis math. Hold them people in mind. Hold the line.
We're going to keep talking. All right. Both behaviors can severely impede effective communication and erode trust. You can't trust that person at all.
That's how you start to be paranoid, not trust nobody.
Yeah, things are going on in your mind, right? And so we already know that a lack of empathy plays a really crucial role in effective communication. Now, if you add lack of empathy with entitlement, and then
what a horrible,
combination. So when one party struggles to understand and relate to the emotions of the other people, and they already have a sense of entitlement, they don't even understand why they should.
Why are you bringing this to them?
Why are you bringing this to me? Why should you? Why should you not understand that I'm me? This is what this is, and
I would never. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. How could you talk to me like this? What are you saying to me?
Yeah. So ultimately, that's going to lead to some misunderstanding.
Entitlement is the driven and core factor
and conflicts. Now, let's add in.
It's a mixture. It's a recipe.
It's a recipe.
It's a cake.
That's what I was thinking when I was thinking about it today. Let's add in a little misrepresentation of verbal and non-verbal cues.
And we have talked about
you got that eye roll, you got that this, you got that tone when you say something. Your body language is a certain kind of way. Your facial expressions are a certain kind of way. And you got a perfect storm for terrible,
to get slapped.
Terrible communication.
I'm just kidding.
And terrible relationships, right? So if this is a work situation, romantic situation, or whatever, the person who is the alpha dog in the relationship is always going to run it. And the person that's not is always going to feel put upon. They're always going to feel like they're it's me, maybe this, that, and that. This is how abusers work too. And so then
these are forms of abuse. Let me just go ahead and say that. Narcissism, gaslighting, forms of abuse. If you add in sexual violence, physical violence, verbal violence, it's all a gateway, really. It's all really doing the same thing, which is breaking you down as a person for that person to feel better about themselves or maintain a particular image or whatever their end game is. Pick a thing, okay?
But then now, if you're the person on the
receiving end,
Now you're inhibited in terms of the way you want to have conversations. You're always walking on eggshells. You don't know what you can say, what you can't say. Is this going to cause this? Is somebody going to pop off? And then you have this fear of these negative consequences in your mind all the time. Let me tell you something. At some point, snapping is coming. You can only push people in a corner for so long.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Before, there you go. You have the snap, you have the crackle, you have the pop off. And when that happens, not only could communication be messed up, but somebody could catch a case. And this is a lot of times how people wind up in violent situations that didn't have to be violent if the people could have just communicated better and told the truth and stopped gaslighting people.
And I want to say this. I actually heard someone I admire very much, Adrian Melvin, said this once, because I could feel y'all. I could feel y'all that be arguing. Y'all was like, this dude trying to she gaslight me. You know, the war between the sexes is really just, what's wrong with the modern man and the modern woman? I just ask it all the time. And I'm sure it happens in same-sex relationships as well. That's just what came up. Either way. But Adrian Melvin said something that I thought was profound. She said a few things. One,
she always is.
Get you a man that knows how to be outside. Classic. Number 2 thing she said that sticks in my mind. Most people in relationships don't know how to argue well. Yeah. Which is actually part of communication. There is not any relationship that you are ever going to be in, romantic, friends, whatever, that you're not going to have to learn how to argue well. The problem is people be arguing and they want to win and they already don't know how to communicate and they get petty and then start hitting below the belt and then things are being said that shouldn't be said and then hands is flying and then people got case. Like, it don't have to be that way. This is why we try to give you these create generational wellness tools ahead of time. Get you a therapist, get you some people so it don't have to come to that. But I think that's the thing. If you are ever in an argumentative or somewhere where there's a communication breakdown of some sort, the onus is on you. If you don't do nothing else we've ever talked about in this podcast, just pause. Just be like, you know what? I think we should stop right here. Now, the person may keep talking, but the onus is on you.
Let me just say right
to
here.
Continue
Truthful
to be
chat,
quiet.
We argue a lot.
To continue to be quiet.
If everybody thinks, oh, Pam and Jess, no. We argue a lot. But we have learned through 10 years of therapy how to fight well, how to improve the way we fight. We ain't there yet, but we are so much better than we used to be.
As I was saying, some of the steps are still not being applied, but the goal is, as I am told often, to not get pulled into the matrix. Yeah. Do I always do that? Absolutely the hell not. Do I try? Absolutely. But it doesn't always work. Saying all that to say, sometimes the best thing is to just walk away for a moment, okay? But we are going to give you some more tools. Okay, so right. What are solutions aside from the pause? Or as my homeboy said, the walk away. A lot of y'all not honoring the walk away. Okay. Some of y'all.
Or the out of nature. Now, we can one up the runaway if necessary.
Now we all have that as a cultural guide. So sometimes the solution is to stop, to walk away, or the runaway. Okay. But also it's establishing clear and firm boundaries, especially when dealing with gaslighters and narcissists, because you already know they coming to the table with their own
crooked
agenda.
They riding dirty. They are riding dirty when they come to the table.
They come in with their own stuff. Okay, so maybe remember I said if that Rolodex is then people keep that in mind and keep that in mind as we talking. Okay, so if you recognize some of this behavior, you need to start to figure out like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you up until this point. But if you start said key phrases, said key words where they really, you know how when you turn on the eye of the stove and it's like click, then the gas, ooh, and then it's a little, and then you can turn it up to boiling. You should cut the conversation off with a gaslighter before or a narcissist before it get to boiling. Okay, you pick your.
And sometimes they come in hot. You think it's just a little click, and they're right at the beginning.
If you start at 100, that's when you need to be like, you know what? We need to have the stop, the walk away, or the run away. Okay, those are the physical things. Okay, because you have to communicate your limits and expectations to the other party. So this tone I'm talking with right now, when you getting real calm and you speak out of sort of just a monotone level, and hopefully your levels don't be going up and down. And if you can keep it consistent, you're good. Keep communicating. The minute you start coming in hot, the stop, the walk away, or the run away. Okay. It's important to set those expectations and the communication limitations for yourself before you already get there. We have some episodes about that. And be prepared to reinforce those boundaries if they're crossed, because they're going to cross you up. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to trip you. They're going to try to break your ankles. They're going to try to cross you up, okay? Because they have an agenda, which is self-preservation. They don't care about you. They're like, this is about me. Remember what we said about entitlement?
Yep.
If they're a gaslighter, they're probably
entitlement and no empathy.
Okay? They don't care about you. I was thinking about me. Okay? So, you have to determine what it is before you get into the conversation. You can't be sitting there trying to figure before you get into the conversation, before you sit down with the person and you look at them in their eye and they be rolling their eyes or doing whatever said nonverbal cues or verbal cues. You have to decide all this beforehand. So determine what is and is not acceptable. What's the communication you gonna put up with and not put up with? And when you start to recognize they got the Spider-Man webs out, right? And they about to try to rope you in with that manipulation, okay? And you need to be like, cut this, give me the scissors and let me start cutting this out, okay?
I'm looking for my phone because I'm going to read y'all something before we go, but keep talking.
So the walk away, the stop, the walk away, the run away, right? Okay? Setting the boundaries, limitations, expectations prior to, okay? Next, seek support. Whatever that means for you. Okay. We talked about support systems numerous times on this podcast. Because you need people, that's going to reinforce your mental mind. Okay. Narcissists and gaslighters, it's easier to manipulate you when you're alone, but that don't mean that they don't do it in front of other people. If it's a pattern, it's a pattern. Okay. So you need to have people around you that can reinforce your mental mind. Like, yes, the way that you saw that, or the way that made you, that the way that you perceive the set events actually happened that way. Cause I saw it too, or I was a part of it, or you talk to me about this person all the time. And maybe I've never seen it, but I recognize the pattern because you talk about it a lot. So those could be friends, family, again, good people to have around, not the others. And unhealthy people, I should say. And then sometimes it's professional help, right? Especially when it comes to communication challenges, or if you feel like somebody is playing mind games with you. So Pam works with those kind of people. Like, she is a support system for people who deal with gaslighting and narcissism.
Those are my favorite clients, actually, which is why I'm so passionate.
Because you got to be on your,
whether you are the gaslighter or you are being gaslit. If you're the gaslighter,
you like to work with gaslighters?
I do. I like to point out, do you realize that you just, whatever. So it doesn't matter to me. I this idea, and I think it needs to be eradicated from the planet, but let's keep going.
And next up, this is also something that she gave me. This is a tool. She gave this to me when I started working regularly, okay? Documentation is your friend. Don't just work in corporate America. Start to write down these interactions. Like I told you, I have a friend right now who is doing his own work. And he literally has a sheet right now of where he's documenting friendships, interactions, like tracking the stuff. And writing the memories down, like right then. Don't wait. Like, be like, I just got back from that date, or we just all hung out together and I really don't like I feel icky, or I feel like a nauseous, or like those are good things. Like sometimes that where like, yo, Shondo is trying to tell you something about how and why you feel said particular way. Okay. So keeping a tangible record, either put it in your phone, put it on your computer, put it in your, do some voice memos, but something tangible that's evidence of incidences, so that you can prove said information. Like I keep saying, I think it's weird as hell that Grace Jabari was recording Jonathan and them's conversation. Because that's why I said, everybody, why would he say Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama? Y'all asking the wrong question. Why was the heifer recording the conversations to begin with? We wouldn't even be having this conversation if this heifer had not been recording the conversations. And why? I guess she felt like the person was. I think we all know Jonathan's a little narcissistic. I think we all say that. We've heard it. Okay. Gaslighting. You saw him on the interview. He was pretty straightforward. Like, yeah, I said those things. I'm not going to deny it. Okay. Narcissist, actor, whatever.
Yeah.
So keeping this documentation helps you really maintain your sanity, your clarity, validate your experiences, right? So when they come popping that yin yang and talk about you don't know what you're saying, I have it in writing. I have it written down, and it's at least a documentation of your feelings. Okay.
And 9 times out of 10, a narcissist is not going to pay attention to what you wrote down. However,
no,
it will keep you from thinking you're crazy. So keep going.
And sometimes people don't want to do this because they feel that the gaslighter might get angry at them. But so what?
See right there, that just made me like my family trait of wanting to whip people. That just popped up in my thing, and I had to push it.
They can't tell you can't write things down. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if you are in an abusive situation physically, you might want to hide that, but and work on an escape strategy. But you need to have backup for your mental mind. That's what I am gonna say. That's what documentation can do for you, is have backup for your mental mind. Are you gonna read your little quote now?
Not yet.
Okay. Or
I kind of want to end with that.
Okay. The next step is to overcome the fear of manipulation. Okay, just grow some balls. All right. Sometimes you just gotta come with it, pop off. Not come with the pop off, but like you gotta say what you gotta say. Okay, because that's part of narcissists and I say this all the time. I don't care what it's about. People know who to try. Okay, there are certain things for us. People not gonna try us. If you listen to this podcast regularly, if you know us, sometimes when I be hearing people talk, I be like, how Sway? How? And that's no disrespect to you, but I be confused because in my mental mind, I believe I carry myself with a certain level of unquittable, okay? A certain level of you're not gonna try me, don't play me, not today. Don't even bring it over here. Don't look over here with it. Don't bring it over here. Okay. It's a certain level of assertiveness that if you carry yourself with it,
some of this stuff
you won't need to deal with. Now, I'm not saying that's problematic if you don't, right? I'm not downplaying your personality. You may be a quiet, shy person, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But you do need to boss up on these niggas, okay? Boss up on them sometime. Because I think they can play you. And that's part of you being assertive. Because you have to counteract gaslighting and narcissism with assertiveness. Like, that's the only language that some of them understand. In the words of the great Lauryn Hill, she once said when she was in the Fugees, and even after all my logic and my theory, I add a mother, so you ignorant is hear me. Because some people, if you pontificating with all these big words, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you break it down with say vernacular, they go, oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. A gaslighter and narcissist understands assertiveness. Okay, now gauge that, because if you're in an abusive relationship, you don't want to be Ike and Tina, you know what I'm saying, in a limo. You don't want that. But you have to have your assertiveness. And assertive communications involve expressing your thoughts and feelings clearly, respectfully, okay? Mm-hmm. But clearly for sure, because again, if they feel like they can get that web in your mental mind, they're like, I got them. I don't even have to really try that hard. Just say, and they've been studying you. That's the thing you got to know about narcissists and the gaslighter. They've been studying you, just like you got some documents.
Tell this is very personal.
I'm just trying to give you the game. If you have, just like you have documentation for this person gaslighting you, they got documentation of how they can Jedi mind trick you out of your said scenario, feeling, etc., etc., etc. It just happens a lot, and I know people that it happens to, and I'd be like, that's crazy, and I have no tolerance for it. Okay, so you got to communicate your thoughts and feelings clearly and respectfully while also acknowledging the rights of other people. Let them say what they're gonna say, but no, there's an agenda at work. There's some manipulation at work. They trying to worry about them. They're not worried about you. Okay. And then some of us just need to overcome the fear of manipulation, period. And the only way to do that is by being aware of your emotions, boundaries, triggers, traumas, in touch with your star player. Okay. If you know yourself, they can't push the buttons that you already know what the buttons are. You know where they are. You know the program. You know all of it. Okay. They're not going to catch you off guard. They're not going to catch you by surprise. That's why we always say self-awareness is key and crucial.
So important.
Because then can't nobody with you. Do you understand what I'm talking about? They up here. It's a steel trap. It's a mental mind. They're going to try you though. Now they're going to try, but they need to know immediately that you're going to wax on and wax off and the foolishness.
And let me say this.
Immediately.
You need to get well, because sometimes your perception of what other people are doing is not really real to you.
Explain.
So I'm saying you might think somebody is gaslighting you, but you just might have a lot of trauma and a lot of things that you haven't dealt with yet. So they could say, you know, I think I'm going to drink a smoothie today. You can't make me drink no smoothie. I ain't trying to drink no smoothie with you just because you want a smoothie. Ain't nobody said that. Ain't nobody trying to gaslight you into drinking smoothies because they want a smoothie. That's just an example. But if you have been a person that's been pushed into a corner a lot about other things, something as simple as...
It gets transferred over into a place where it shouldn't be transferred over.
Exactly.
It's like, you know how, remember when you was little and you had those like long balloons and you just squeeze it in the middle and it goes and the air don't, yeah. And it goes in
doing that with fat too when they're doing the liposuction. I'm just saying, but go on.
Anyway, it's a distribution, right? The distribution is off. It should be long all the way across. But if you hold it here or squeeze it here or tie it up or all the air going to one thing. That's what we talk about. Animals is where you just diverting. It should be going over here, but you diverted it to something else, and then things get convoluted and crazy. And that's when they really feel like they can gaslight you.
Yeah, if you start doing that, they're like, oh, they all messed up.
Somebody's calling me. I'll call you back.
Okay.
So anyway, saying all that to say, don't get gaslit there either, because people be using words and emotions to throw you off track because they don't want to deal with it. So they feel like if I just act that fool right now, maybe they'll forget. And you won't, because your mind is still trapped. Okay. And usually the fear of manipulation is deeply ingrained, like she said, about other things, or you just have a lot of trauma. So maybe you need a therapist, counselor, just to uncover where that fear comes from, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you grew up in a house with a narcissist, a gaslighter, a physical. Like I said, it usually comes with all the things, right? All the other forms of abuse that we're familiar with, and you got to do the work to overcome that so that you can start to rebuild your own personal trust, right, in yourself, in your instincts. Kerry Washington actually tells a great story about that. And I still haven't read the book, but I saw a clip of her talking about it in an interview where she was saying she didn't trust herself a lot growing up, because the big story is that she is the child of a sperm donor, not her actual biological parents, which she always kind of felt.
Spoiler alert. Hope y'all knew that, but go ahead.
She's been everywhere talking about it.
I know.
So she always felt like uneasiness in her person, but everybody kept telling her to not trust that, right? Like, no, you come from a great family. And she did, but she just knew something was off, right? So she stopped trusting her inner knower very early on. She also told a story about how she was sexually abused and molested by someone her own age when she was younger. But she stopped because they have been gaslighting her about other stuff. She started to not trust herself about that. And she's like, and then one day I stayed up and the person tried it and I confronted them about it. And that gave me a sense of myself back to be like, oh, I wasn't tripping. Like that was actually happening to me in real time, right? Which is a scary thing to do, to confront somebody that's doing that. So sometimes you need, I'm sure she had a lot of therapy, right? And a lot of help to get to those things, to be able to write about them in a book for the world to consume. And then you just got to enhance your critical thinking. I feel like we haven't talked about this enough because it's just something we think is routine, but that's just us. So that you can effectively evaluate information and interactions, and make a decision. Reduce the likelihood of manipulation. If you hang out with people all the time and you always feel a little icky and sticky when you with them, like trust that, right? And get some critical thinking skills to be able to be like,
why is that?
Why is that? Why am I attracting this into my life consistently? What changes need to be made? And just to know how to tell the difference, right, between manipulative people, right? Because when we talk about triggers, emotional traumas, not setting boundaries, sometimes you just grew up around a lot of manipulative people and that feels very normal to you, and it's not, right? Versus people who have they're genuine people. They show genuine behaviors, right? And so knowing that difference can help you identify healthy relationships, cut off people that don't need to be there, okay? And start to pick and choose your relationships and your friendships or whatever more wisely and maintain them, right? So here's a couple ways you can identify and discern these types of individuals, okay? Genuine people usually exhibit very consistent, healthy behaviors, okay? So it's where a person's actions align with their words over time. I guess this could be in a negative way too, though. If the person is consistently on that, you know what I'm saying? Like their actions and words are lining up, okay? That makes them a genuine person. Genuinely a trash person, but still genuine. You know what I'm saying? I think when we hear genuine, we always think about it in like a positive context. No. There's so nice. It could go both ways. What we're saying is the person is talking about it and being about it. Either way that falls.
And if that doesn't line up with who you are and who you want to be, make a decision.
Get them out there. Okay. So in contrast, manipulative people, they usually got manipulative behaviors. They're inconsistent. Okay. And contradictory. And we all have those. We all have inconsistencies and contradictions, but we're talking about on a regular, consistent basis. If you always make plans with that person and they always bail on you, you know what I'm saying? Or the excuses is the same, or I don't know, pick a thing. Do you have
thing? I was getting ready to say, you hear people say, all my friends can hang out with each other. That all means they are a consistent person. They're everywhere not one way with this group of friends, this way with another group of friends. And so you can never have all your friends in the same room because they're going to be like, well, who is that? I don't, they're going to see you have a bunch of friends that don't line up with the way this particular group of friends. And that can be very stressful because you got to remember who you are with this group, what you said, what story you told over here, who they think you are over here, Is your family this way or is your family that way? Because you painted a picture to manipulate the person that your family is trash when your family is beautiful. All the different things.
But that's your interpretation of things. So I'm not going to take that away from you. Yeah. But the person was confused when they met the family.
Yeah. So just realize that's a part of being consistent is if your friend groups and everything can hang out together.
And genuine people typically demonstrate empathy. Okay. And they're considerate of other people's feelings. Okay. We told you at the top, narcissists are entitled than a mug. It's all about them all the freaking time. Okay. So usually genuine people in the nice way are considerate of other people. And manipulators,
always inconsiderate. Okay, they could be either way. Okay.
And manipulative people usually try to disregard other people, trivialize people, make them feel small, trivialize their emotions, talk down to them, right? To serve their own agenda, which is myself, okay? And not in the Beyonce way. I was like, and not in the Beyonce way.
Yeah. Another thing, look at the person's intentions. If the person is always selfish, always, and I shouldn't say always, if they have a pattern of being selfish, or if they have a pattern of being selfless. There are some people, and a balance is good. I'm not saying you should be a doormat and lay down and let everybody walk over you and all that kind of stuff.
Gotta have
but
balance.
Do you think about other people? Do you think about, how can I help this person? What would this look like? And are not just, again, worried about me.
And we all have to check ourselves on that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're the main character in our own story. So we always gonna feel like it's about us. Yeah. But you should have a balance between it's me and other people instead of it's just me all the time, or it's just constantly being selfless in a way that's unhealthy.
One of my sister's friends came to visit her in the nursing home the other day. And immediately, man, when she used to work for her, that's true. And we hope she's going to work for her again. But as soon as she walked in, she started to rub my sister's neck and to rub her hands and to rub her feet. Just like immediately she started thinking about what she could do for her, versus, hey, I just came to say hi. And because, a lot of times people are, just wanting to see what's going on or this, that, and the other. That wasn't what she was about. She really she was concerned about the well-being of my sister. And so that's a thing to gauge when you're talking to people and whatever. Can you tell that they're concerned about your well-being or that they're concerned about being well with you? You know what I'm saying by that? Like, is it genuinely from the inside out they want to know that you're doing well, or do they just want it to look like, girl, we out here, we doing the thing, or whatever?
We out here together.
Check the person's intentions on that. Manipulative people are always going to prioritize their own needs over everybody else.
Always.
That's not a thing. And then practice your self-care habits, man. It's important to do that all the time. We talk about it, but it's really important if you're dealing with a gaslighter or a narcissist, because they will make you think you're crazy, and then your mental health and your emotional health will be off the charts, and
they're gonna drain you. All of that is emotionally and mentally draining. And I was actually talking to my friends this week, one of my friends, about like usually when people suffer, emotional breakdowns, or as a person who has, or something, crazy traumatic that like completely like just wrecks and stops your life, right? We always think it's a big boulder that like came down on the person and they just wiped out. But I was talking to my friend this week and I said, honestly, that's the imagination that people have. But literally, like, as we were just talking about things that they had experienced and things that were happening consistently. And I said, oh, you're dealing with a lot of little cuts. There's a lot of little things that have happened over the course of time that chip away in the road at the things that make you strong, or the things that make you able to function, right? Or, I told him, I said, it's the difference between whether you shank somebody, right, and immediately a whole bunch of blood comes out, versus you just do little cuts. You make little notches on the person. Eventually, they're not going to bleed out right then, but
they're always bleeding.
But eventually, if you cut them enough times, that's an equivalent of a lot of blood coming out at the same time, right? So I would say the same thing about, sometimes we have, a lot of stressors, if we're talking about in this particular scenario of you have one major relationship that was narcissistic and gaslighting, and that one boulder fell on you and it would wipe you out, right? That's the imagination of it. But honestly, you probably have been around gaslighting and narcissism for a long period of time, and it's the little cuts over your childhood, teenage years, adulthood, like over and over and over and over and over again. And then this said situation or person or whatever is really the straw that is breaking the camel's back. So it seems, but it's really a progression, right?
Or the little cut that hit the artery. Maybe the other ones weren't deep enough,
right?
A little cut that hit an artery.
But if you can start to sort of, like we said, identify said people, right, as we've been talking, identify said patterns, recognize places in yourself where I should be more assertive in that relationship. Whether they're trying to gaslight you, they might not be a gaslighter or a narcissist. You just might be like, I need to be more assertive in this relationship, or more clear in my boundaries with this person, or more direct in how I'm saying things. Because I'm telling you, man, it's the little things over time that erode away, right? Because at the end of the day, you end up not trusting yourself, right? And then eventually you end up not trusting others. And then that just becomes, like we said, the domino effect at the beginning becomes a domino effect at the end, right?
Yeah. So, and just know, addressing gaslighting is going to be difficult, and it's going to be sensitive. The thing I wanted to read, I saw this on Instagram. I thought it was really good. As a matter of fact, it's kind of what sparked this episode a little bit. It said I don't know, some boy. Gaslighting versus respectful phrases. So this is
Oh yeah, this is where I saw that.
this is an example of gaslighting. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's gaslighting. I'm sorry you feel that way. Versus, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Okay?
That's taking personal responsibility.
That's taking personal responsibility.
Whether they remember the incident the way you remember it or not.
Gaslighting would say, that's not what happened. A respectful response or conversation would be, that's now how I thought it happened. So you're saying I could be wrong, right? As opposed to that's not how it happened. Gaslighting, you can't take a joke. Respectful. I meant it as a joke, but it came across really wrong. Again, the responsibility. Gaslighting, you're overreacting. Respectful. I now see that this is a very important issue for you. Not, I didn't know it carried that much weight. All right, gaslighting. I guess I'm just a really bad partner.
Jonathan Majors did say that though.
What I did, respectful, what I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. The power of a few well-chosen words and a shift in tone may completely transform a phrase from being a gaslighting phrase to a respectful phrase. So we'll post those somewhere someday when you least expect it. So
everybody's got to do their work, okay?
Yeah.
No disrespect. I just bought that. It's a cultural thing now. I'm like, Jonathan Majors, the man is getting the help that he needs. Amen. And we hope Grace Jabari is getting the help that she needs too. Because y'all always feel like the things go one way. But anyway.
All right. In conclusion, if you're going to have effective communication and healthy relationships, you're going to have to address these obstacles such as gaslighting, narcissistic behavior, fear of manipulation. It's crucial for you to get to the bottom of that so that you can get over to the other side, right? When you set boundaries, you seek the support you need, you practice assertiveness, the things we talked about. You build your own self-awareness so you know when somebody's trying to play you. You know when somebody's trying to play you.
You played yourself.
Look for patterns, look for intentions, and develop those critical thinking skills, because you can see all this and know all of it, but if you don't know how to think your way through it and say, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you have to be able to think about it.
Girl, clear your throat, please. You hear how she...
The water might not clear my throat. See there? I just drank the water. My throat is still not clear.
I'm just trying to help.
All right. You're on your way.
There we go.
To creating and fostering meaningful connections based on trust and understanding. And that's what generational wellness is about. And that's what we're all about over here.
Indeed. Before we go, I want to not even shamelessly plug. I want to plug the homie Matt Mackey III's record. If you're like, this all sounds great. I've been listening to the podcast. I still don't know what this sounds like. I would recommend that you listen to the homie album because it will give you some great tools to understand what a relationship
looks like when there's a lot of gaslighting going on.
With gaslighting, okay? This is what the album cover looks like. Some of my favorite standard tracks: Stuck, Loser, In Too Deep Is My Cut, Gaslight, okay? The whole record is fire, okay? It's 9 tracks. If you got the Spotify, the Apple Music, whatever the things that you have, check it out. Support my friend. Let's get his streams up, okay? So there you have it. We have an artistic expression for you. If you listen to this entire thing, you like, I still don't know, go ahead, listen to that. You're probably going to be triggered. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So maybe have your therapist on speed dial, or your homegirls or your homeboys or whoever. Not the people that are going to gas you up to like do some heinous and egregious stuff afterwards, but just, so you can actually process narcissism. Okay. Anyway, as I always say about this time, we've been before you. This is a good episode. I feel good about it.
You like it? I'm glad.
I mean, I think so. I think so. I hope you think so. And I hope you'll let us know.
Sometimes we fight about the episodes. I'm just going to be honest.
We don't fight about the episodes.
Well, a little. But I'm glad we agreed that we like this one.
Fine. We can talk about it in therapy. Anyway, you're not going to know what's happening on this episode, any of the following episodes. And we love to hear what you think about this episode. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, follow us on IG, Facebook, fan base. We are at Create Generational Wellness on all of the platforms. So holla at us, hit us up, and we will see you next week. I will be back in California.
I will still be in Texas.
So we will see.
We're going to be doing some innovation and what that looks like. But
how this works. This will be our first episode
where we're not together.
Not in the same room. But I think it's going to be good. Yeah, so
we'll work it out.
We hope you'll be back. We're continuing with Pammy Shondo words. And we'll see you next week. And check out Gaslight. It's a dope album.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.